channel. If you're a newcomer, thanks for checking out my videos, and please click the subscribe button to see more of my stuff. And if you've been here before, if you're already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for sticking around and for checking out this video. Today I'm bringing to you guys a book tag. It's been a while since I did a book tag on here. I think the last one that I did was the BookTube newbie tag, which I did like a month ago. So I thought it was high time for a book tag, and this one I found on the blog Caitlin's Cozy Reading Corner. I will link it in the description box. Anyway, the tag was something that I'm very interested in and something that I have strong feelings about, so I decided to go ahead and do it. This tag is called the pre-Netflix Grishaverse book tag, and it's basically opinions and thoughts about the upcoming Netflix adaptation of the Grishaverse trilogy and the Six of Crows duology, and each question has like a corresponding book that you are going to pick out. The way that the tag usually works. So why am I explaining what a book tag is? You all know what a book tag is. Anyway, so some of these opinions that are given in this book tag, not some. I agree with all of them and I feel very strongly about them. So aside from like the book that I'm going to pick for each question, I also have like a little bit of sharing about my opinions on the upcoming adaptation. So let's get started. So the first question is, the question is, Nina better be plus sized. So this is for a book with fantastic fat rep. So yes, I do believe that the actress that they choose to pick Nina should be plus sized. She is very clearly described in Crooked Kingdom and in Six of Crows as not being slim, as being curvy, wide-hipped, generous with her curves and all sorts of language like that clearly codes her as fat. So she needs to be played by an actress who embodies that. She cannot be played by a thin actress. I mean, like, fat girls already don't get that much rep. So I feel like it would be a huge win for the fat community if they could see a character as powerful and as beloved as Nina on screen played by an actual fat actress. So I do believe in that opinion, and the book that I have chosen for that category is If the Dress Fits by Carla de Guzman. If the Dress Fits is a romance. It's a contemporary romance novel. It's part of the romance class group of books, which I talk about a lot on Twitter and on my blog. Basically, the story is all about Martha, who is, she's an accountant, and her life is perfect, basically. She has great clothes, she has a dog that she loves, she has a job that she loves and also makes her tons of money. So she feels that her life is great, but the people around her feel like it isn't because A, she doesn't have a boyfriend, and B, she's fat. So the book is basically all about her subverting those opinions of people who think that her life isn't perfect. So she does get a boyfriend in the end. Her best friend Max becomes her boyfriend. But the story, what I liked about this story is it wasn't totally about like the whole Martha learns to love herself despite being fat. It was none of that usual inspirational bullshit. It was Martha already loved herself as a fat person, as a fat woman, and being fat was not a detriment to her story at all. It wasn't even really part of her story in the sense that learning to accept herself as fat wasn't part of her story arc. It was more of like, fuck you all, I'm fat, I'm happy, and that's how it is. So it was refreshing to hear that kind of story arc for a fat character, a fat main character, and the story didn't revolve around her being fat in any way. She didn't like lose weight. She didn't have like this journey of self-love and self-esteem and whatnot. So it was really refreshing to read a story that would have been the same if it was about a thin character, which I loved. And of course, it was also written by an author who is fat herself, Carla de Guzman, and she's very passionate also about having appropriate and championing appropriate fat rep. So I think this book is a good, fantastic fat rep, as said by the question. So the next one is Malina Are Not My OTP, and it is for a book where you couldn't get behind the romance. So yes, I'm sorry, but I do agree with this opinion. Malina is super not my ODP. In fact, I actually really hated the character of Mal. Now, don't jump down my throat for this, because I also didn't like the character of the Darkling, in the sense that I didn't root for him. I mean, I'm not rooting for the villain in this case, but at least the Darkling was an interesting character. It was a character that made you turn the page and like say, oh, I want to figure out what happens to him next. I want to figure out what he does next. He was a great villain, and not just a great villain, he was a great character. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't ship him with Alina. I don't think that he and Alina are a great couple. I mean, he freaking put a collar of antlers around her neck. That does not a good relationship make. But at the same time, I also don't ship Mal and Alina. I don't think either of them were good for her. I don't think Nikolai was good for her either. I wish that the trilogy had ended with Alina being happy with herself and not having to sacrifice her powers. But whatever, I'm not the writer. Anyway, so I don't like you guys probably figured out my long ass rant. I do not ship Malina, and I hate the character of Mal. I hate him so much. I feel like he is the literary equivalent of a piece of white bread soaked in milk. I am sorry, that went on such a long tangent rant. Anyway, so the book that I picked for this, a book where I could not get behind the romance. Unfortunately, that book is An Ember in the Ashes by Savata here. So I have to clarify that I do not hate any of the characters here. In fact, I love the character of Laya, and I can't wait to see where her character goes, because spoiler alert, well no, sorry, not spoiler alert, it's not spoiler alert, but basically the Ember, I've only read An Ember in the Ashes, and how it ends is like just this one big question mark when it comes to Laya and Elias, so I can't wait to find out what happens to them. But I just don't ship them. I'm sorry, they don't have any chemistry. And like, I know I probably might get hate for this, honestly, but Elias had more chemistry with Helene than he did with Laya. And I mean, like, the way that he and Laya fell in love was so borderline insta-love. Like, they just saw each other across that square in the fair when the fair was happening, and then they locked eyes, and then suddenly they were in love. I mean, come on, zero chemistry, and it was so forced. It was like, oh, there was a spark. They met, their eyes met, and they knew, and like, it's so I just didn't see it. I mean, I didn't see the romance. I'm sorry. My mind might change with the next book. I don't know. I have not read the following books after, although I do have them, but I haven't read them yet. My mind might change, I don't know, but as of reading An Ember in the Ashes, unfortunately, I do not ship Laya and Elias. The next question is The Darkling Isn't Dead, and it is a book where you connected with the villain. So I have no opinion on whether the Darkling is dead or not. Some other fans of the Grisha trilogy might have a bigger opinion on that. Let me know what you think in the comments if you do have a massive opinion on that. But the book that I picked for a villain where I really connected was Jade City by Fonda Lee. The villain in this book is the pillar of the mountain clan named Aitmada. And I don't want to give any spoilers, because if you haven't read this book yet, please do so. It's amazing. It's on sale on Amazon, I believe. The ebook is right now, it's like $2.99. And for Filipino readers, this is also in National Bookstore right now. It's like 495 pesos. Go get on that. You really want to read this, trust me. Anyway, so I really connected with the villain of Aitmada. I mean, she didn't really seem like an out-and-out evil villain. She was just like a powerful woman who wanted control, who wanted money, who wanted power, and unfortunately, going against the No Peak clan was the way to do that, and doing all the evil stuff that she did in the book was the way to do that. And I just really loved her so much. Like, there's a quote in here about how two women in a man's world who have like two strong-willed women in a man's world who have a lot in common. If they don't become friends, they're destined to become lifelong enemies. And I felt that quote so much, and I just love the juxtaposition of Aitmada against the character of Shay, the younger sister of the pillar and the horn of the No Peak clan. I'm not gonna give any spoilers away. about Shay's character, but suffice it to say that their interactions were amazing, and I loved Aitmada so much as a villain, and in another universe, if I didn't love the Ka'ul so much, I would probably be swearing allegiance to the Mountain Clan. But yeah, if you haven't read Jade City yet, please get right on that. It is an amazing book. It is one of my favorite books ever. And to the other 29 people who made it to the Jade War Tour hosted by Caffeine Book Tours and Shalea and Fondali, congrats guys! We are going to get to read Jade War. I'm not ready, you're not ready, none of us are ready for the heartbreak that is about to follow. So the next question is The King of Scars, and it is a book by a beloved author that you're excited about. So I have not read A King of Scars. I've not read King of Scars. A lot of people have said that it wasn't up to snuff. They didn't like it. It got so much mixed reviews. So I have been scared to pick it up because it features Nina, and I'm not sure that I'm ready to read about Nina in a subpar book, especially when I fell in love with her in Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, which are like leagues away from the Grishaverse trilogy in how good they are. So I haven't read King of Scars yet. I have no opinion on it yet, but a ton of people whose opinions I trust said that it wasn't good, or it really wasn't up to Lee's usual caliber when she wrote Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. It was like a callback to her Grisha trilogy days, like the writing in that trilogy. So I haven't picked it up yet. But anyway, so the question is a book by a beloved author that you're excited about. I have no covers to show you because but the arcs that I'm going to borrow are with Shalea and with JM. But I'm super excited for Wicked As You Wish and The Never Tilting World, which are Rin Chupeco's upcoming releases later this year and early next year. I'll leave links to the Goodreads pages in the description box. Please check out those books and then add them to your Goodreads TBR because I am so excited. The plot sounds great. And it's Rin Chupeco, come on. Y'all know I ball hard for her. And of course, it's practically guaranteed that these books are going to be great. I mean, like, Rin Chupeco hasn't written anything that I dislike ever. So I'm so excited for these books. So the next one is, the question is for Inej and Kaz, and it's basically fancast your faves. So going back to Rin Chupeco, I would like to fancast from The Bone Witch. I actually tweeted about this some time ago, but my fancast, nobody make fun of me for this, okay, please. But my fancast for T is Maha Salvador, and my fancast for Kaylen is Rafa Sigyon Reyna. I'm sorry, but I see it. I just do. I don't know how to put photos. I'll try, like, later when I edit this. If this video comes up with photos, then I figured it out. If not, then I haven't figured it out, and I'll probably just tweet those photos. But please, just look them up, look up their photos. I'll type out the spelling somewhere here or in the description box so that you know how to spell their names. So please look up Maha Salvador and Rafa Sigyon Reyna and tell me they don't look like what T and Kaylen are described to look like. So that is my fancast for my favorites. Oh, and also I wanted to show you guys, since I didn't get a chance to show this in my reading vlog for the month, but I painted the edges of my paperback of The Bone Witch. I think it turned out pretty okay. It looks nice, I think. I don't know if it's translating well onto the camera, but I painted this a dark blue to match the cover. It's almost a black color. So yeah, I haven't done it yet with some of my other books, but here's hoping. Maybe I'll post a tutorial sometime, I'm not sure. I don't know if I did well enough to consider myself like, oh, I can teach this, but yeah. So this question actually was supposed to come after The Darkling Isn't Dead, but I misread it. So anyway, this question is, Don't You Dare Whitewash, and it is a book-to-movie or TV show adaptation where they stayed true to the ethnicity of the characters. So this is something that is a bit of a minefield when it comes to the Grisha trilogy and the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. There's a shit ton that I could talk about with how I don't think that the POC representation in Six of Crows is genuine and nuanced and all that. For one thing, I mean, don't even get me started on how like all of Asia is just lumped into one country, all of Africa is just lumped into one country, and then Inej is of some vaguely brown nationality or ethnicity or whatever. But the fact, even if the rep isn't genuine and deep and, you know, well researched, the rep is still there. These characters are still specifically stated to be white, brown, Asian, what have you, black. So they should be represented and cast as such. For this category, I picked The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So I haven't seen the movie yet. I haven't even read the book yet, to be honest. But I know that the main characters are, the guy is a Korean American, the female main character is Jamaican, and in the movie they were able to cast, they did cast a Korean American actor to play the male lead and a black actress to play the female lead. So they stayed true to the ethnicity of the characters in the books. And I promise I'm gonna get around to reading The Sun is Also a Star soon. I know that so many people have liked it, so I'm curious. I have the ebook in my Kindle. I'll get around to reading that soon, I think. So the last question on this book tag is no mourners, no funerals, and it's for a book quote that has stayed with you throughout time. And I had a bit of a difficult time picking a book quote because I have a ton of book quotes that really speak to me, but finally I decided on one that I feel has really been the cornerstone of my reading journey. It's an old ass quote, honestly, and I think there's even a ton of merch out there with this quote on it, but it's still one of my favorites, if not the favorite, the favorite. And it is a quote from Neil Gaiman, and it says, "Fairy tales are more than true. Not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us dragons can be beaten." And that's it. That was that book tag. I will tag people to do this tag on Twitter, so keep an eye out for that. But if you'd like to do it yourself, please go ahead and link me in the comments if you do this tag. I'd love to see it. Thank you for watching, and stick around for my next video. Love and light from your favorite tita.